Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today, man, we are going to be, I guess, talking to the Call of Duty developers because it seems a few of them have gotten pretty offended over a joke that was made at the Game Awards yesterday. So, obviously, that was a pretty major event. It's probably one of the largest events really left in gaming, after like E3 and everything has basically fallen apart in the last half decade. And basically, it's just like a yearly thing where, they kind of like vote on things like, oh, game of the year, or what's coming next in 2024 and beyond, right? And they'll drop trailers for all the new games and stuff like that. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's not one of those things that I personally like tune into and watch live, but I will go back and check out the highlights or whatever when it's all said and done. And checking the highlights with this one was kind of funny because a lot of the developers who work on Call of Duty got pretty upset over a relatively tame and mild joke that Christopher Judge made at the Game Awards. So I'm gonna go ahead and play you guys like the joke or the clip first, and then we'll come back and kind of like talk about the reaction, because the reaction's the main part of the video, but obviously, that is the context. So go ahead and take a look at this clip, and we'll be right back.
No 8-minute speech like last year, but fun fact, my speech was actually longer than this year's Call of Duty campaign. What? No.
Alright, so pretty lighthearted, little jab at Call of Duty, because if you didn't know, this year, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the campaign is one of the worst reviewed ever, okay? And for multiple reasons. A lot of people complained about, like, the, I guess, quality of the campaign, saying that it seemed rushed, it felt forced, it wasn't any good, they didn't enjoy the storyline. But the real big complaint this year was that it was the shortest campaign that Call of Duty has ever made. It was like maybe 4 hours, right? Now, in a $70 title where all of the maps and weapons and shit at launch were essentially just reskins of all the old maps and weapons and whatnot from all the other Call of Duty games that you actually liked, it just, that's not really a very good selling point, right? And I know, a lot of the multiplayer COD fans, they act like campaign doesn't exist or nobody cares about it, but no, I mean, some of us, we actually do more than just playing online, right? So, I mean, it got destroyed, and I mean, the joke is, they always say, like, there's always a little bit of truth to every funny joke, right? And, well, that's just perfectly the case here, because, yeah, I guess, like, it was a lighthearted jab or whatever, but it's also pretty fucking true, man. Like, everybody was pointing out that this year's COD campaign was too short. And I mean, I don't think anyone's expecting, like, some 50-hour super in-depth campaign or anything, but, like, bro, you're providing the least amount of content that we've ever seen for a $70 sequel to your game that came out last year, right? It just, like, it was not a good idea from the jump. Well, Call of Duty developers, they didn't take too well to this joke, and they started, like, basically attacking games like God of War, because, I don't know, like, they got offended, basically, over what is pretty clearly a joke. Like, this guy's not fucking saying, oh, this is the worst game of all time, or, like, attacking them, really. He just, like, he's doing what really anyone who goes on stage for anything does. Like, he's just trying to, like, riff with the audience and whatnot. And, that's a pretty popular complaint. It's not like this one was some fucking secret or something that nobody talked about. Like, yeah, COD had a pretty short, bad campaign this year. It is what it is. So, funny, but yeah, the metrics that COD absolutely destroys all the God of War games probably combined, TBH, and is also equally laughable, if not more. Alright, now this is exactly what I would expect from a Call of Duty developer in terms of, like, intelligence when it comes to their response, because, they got their feelings hurt or whatever, right, over a little fucking joke, and they start talking about metrics, which it doesn't matter because neither of these games are even remotely similar enough to compare metrics, right? Like God of War is a single-player only game that is pretty much entirely based around, like, a storyline. Call of Duty, even in its campaigns, the games are like a tenth of the length. Like, there's not really any way to, like, fairly assess the metrics of these games. It's like comparing apples and oranges, right? Like, yeah, both are video games, but they cater to two completely different audiences for two completely different reasons. And all this whole tweet right here is literally just cope for a Call of Duty developer who any other time, they'd be bitching and complaining, oh man, this crunch that we work under, these bullshit working conditions under Activision Blizzard, but now that their fucking flagship shitty title got called out, they all come fucking bootlicking Activision to their defense instantaneously. Imagine having short user engagement once your game is consumed. Can't relate. Game Awards. Once again, a Call of Duty developer not smart enough to realize that these games' user engagement cannot be compared. Like, once again, okay, so 90% of people, let's just say, like, will play Call of Duty for, like, zombies and multiplayer only, right? The user engagement in multiplayer-based games is going to be ludicrously higher over a long period of time than a single-player story game. Now, I don't know if I gotta fucking break down why for some low IQers watching this video, but in a story game, you only really get the story one time, right? You play through it once, you beat the game, you kind of know what happened. You don't need to play it through again unless you want to go for trophies or you just want to play through it again, right? Which most people don't really see a need to. Call of Duty is a game where you just constantly play with your friends. It gets fucking updated every month with a quote-unquote new map, which is almost always just a remake of a map that came out 15 years ago now. Like, you're comparing a fucking live service game that releases every year with multiplayer features to a series that comes out once every 3 years or 4 years with a new single-player story title. Like, how do you work in the gaming industry and you're not smart enough to fucking figure this out? It'd be like, I don't know, like the fucking Cheesecake Factory trying to make fun of McDonald's because your guys' sit-in times for your customers is way lower than ours. Yeah, probably because it's two completely different audiences, you brainlet. Honestly, as COD developers, we've heard way worse, but we don't expect it from a peer at an event that's supposed to be celebrating this year's achievements in gaming, especially with all the information that was leaked about its development. It's kind of weird because, like, in this tweet, they're like, oh, we've heard way worse as COD developers, but we don't expect this from our peers. Bro, you work for a company that 2 years ago, women were committing fucking suicide because their nudes were getting leaked by the other neckbeards that worked around them, right? You had drunk men doing what they called, like, fucking office crawls, where they would just in force come through the whole, like, room and just sexually harass all the female employees. You motherfuckers were over here worshiping, like, pedophiles and shit, Bill Cosby or whoever at your little parties and shit in the background, right? But you want to sit here and talk about, oh man, we've heard way worse. Dude, all he said was Call of Duty's campaign was too short. And he said it in like a fucking joking manner. It wasn't like this guy came out and was like, every Call of Duty developer should be lined up against the wall and shot in their fucking head with a rifle because of this. Like, the guy just made a fucking lighthearted joke about, yeah, the COD campaign was short this year, am I right? And because he was right, everyone kind of chuckled. Okay, dude. Like, I don't know, the insecurity is really jumping out of these COD developers, man. They want to flex all these metrics on single-player games and shit. But if they were really secure with the products that they made, would there really even be a need to get upset over the most minute jokes like this? Like, he didn't even really criticize the game. He just made a fucking observation. Like, yeah, the COD campaign was short this year. LOL. And yeah, everyone LOL'd or whatever. Okay, bro. But yeah, these COD developers, they gotta jump in front of the bullet here and, protect the reputation of Activision Blizzard at an event that's supposed to be celebrating this year's achievements in gaming. Yeah, they did. They celebrated all the games that achieved something this year in gaming, like Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year. I mean, they did. They did pretty well. There was a lot of games that won awards and, like, got hyped for their trailers and whatnot, right? I mean, the new Dragon Ball game looks pretty cool. I saw that. There's a new Monster Hunter game coming, right? There's like a lot of different shit coming. A lot of people got hyped up this year and, got their achievements celebrated. The reason that Call of Duty didn't get their achievements celebrated is because this year's Call of Duty has been consistently ranked as one of the worst Call of Duty games to ever come out. It's one of the only times I've ever seen, like, the people reviewing Call of Duty and the actual fan base of Call of Duty come to terms together on the quality of the game. Like, usually, the reviews or whatever be like, yeah, this year's COD's kind of lukewarm. And then a bunch of the fans will be like, no, actually, really, I fuck with it, bro. This year, the user ratings for COD is like a 3 or a 4 out of 10, and the fucking Metacritic ranking is the worst ever. Physical sales in the UK for this year was down 25% compared to Modern Warfare 2 last year. And yeah, while some of that can be attributed to the move towards digital-only content, that is not the reason why a quarter of the physical sales dropped from last year. And then when you compare the numbers from now to Modern Warfare 2019, just a few years ago, physical sales are down like 60 to 65%. But yet these are the same developers that are flexing sales and shit and like flexing numbers when, I mean, there's really really two things to be said about that, okay? Number one, sure, yeah, Call of Duty, it's the top-selling game every year. Congratulations. The developers who were there 10 years before all the fucking losers that work there now built the name and image of a franchise that none of the developers now can live up to. And as a result, all the Call of Duty games that have come out in recent memory have been panned into the dirt by pretty much everybody, right? Like, there hasn't been a universally liked Call of Duty game in years. And then, yeah, like, that's when they flex sales and shit. Oh, bro, well, look at our numbers compared to yours, bro. Like, yeah, okay, man. Well, let's take a look at your numbers from a couple years ago and compare them to now. Why are they so different? Like, I thought you guys were doing such a great job, you know? Call of Duty was in such a good spot. We should be celebrating your achievements. Like, I mean, let's just think about the numbers fact, right? Like, yeah, you can flex on fucking games that you're not even competing with. It's not like Call of Duty's really competing with God of War for most people's attention, you know? Like, people who are going to play Call of Duty are going to play Call of Duty, and people who play God of War are going to play God of War, right? Like, but let's talk about a game that they really have to compete with, right? Okay? And I know a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but Fortnite, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, I've been very critical of Fortnite. It's a game that I'm very off and on with, but it is impossible to ignore how popular Fortnite is. I mean, the all-time player base peak was just 5 days ago, okay? That number was 11.6 million people playing concurrently at the same fucking time. Almost 12 million people, a whole country's worth of people, all at the same time playing Fortnite, right? And I already know what people are going to say, oh, Optimus! You're forgetting Fortnite's a free-to-play game, Brody. Call of Duty's not free. Yeah, well, Warzone is, buddy. You can download Warzone for free anytime, anywhere, any day. And even then, it isn't even remotely fucking close to Fortnite. And you can't even make the argument that Fortnite just made its huge comeback, bro. Nobody gave a fuck about Fortnite before this. Since the data started tracking in April 2023, only 3 months did Fortnite actually have a loss of players. And in the other months, they gained 17%, 55%, 163%, and 88% of their players. So Fortnite has spent the vast majority of this year exploding in popularity, even, 5-6 years after it really became popular. Meanwhile, Call of Duty, that's been around and has been a big name for 15 years now, can't even fucking scrape close to that in free players. In fact, Fortnite is so popular right now that there's probably 5, maybe 6 different Fortnite modes that have more players combined than Call of Duty. I mean, just right now, there's 2 million people live playing Lego Fortnite on a weekday in the middle of the day. There's 639,000 people that are playing the ranked mode Battle Royale. There's another 600,000 playing normal Battle Royale with builds. There's 330,000 people playing zero build Battle Royale unranked. Then there's 100,000 people playing ranked zero build. And then the new game that comes out, which is Rocket Racing, which is like Rocket League's racing game, that comes out I think today, and it already has 83,000 people playing it right now. And I don't even think it's actually out yet. So, I mean, yeah, you want to talk about numbers and you want to talk about engagement and flex big nuts and whatnot. Why is your competition stomping your testicles like this, man? Like, do you guys have a humiliation fetish, a ball-crushing fetish going on here, guys? Because Fortnite in one offhanded mode that they fucking threw in on the side is scraping together more players than Call of Duty can get. But yeah, the developers at COD, they want to focus their fucking energy and all of that action against, single-player story game developers. And it's also kind of funny, right? Because, like, one of the big arguments I've always heard in defense of these fucking COD developers that suck is, oh, but dude, they deal with insane crunch. I mean, they get treated like shit by the companies, and they're forced to do all this shit they don't want to do in the game. You should feel sorry for them, man. They don't make enough to do this. Yeah, you already know they probably don't really see any bonuses or, like, crazy good money or anything from, like, the high sales. So it's kind of ironic that they'd be flexing it in the first place, because this garbage company that treats its employees like shit is making buku money from the sales of their product that's built on their crunch time and the backs of their fucking 100-hour work weeks that they complain about all the time, right? Yeah, the executives, they're getting rich, they're getting their bonuses, they're making their money, and you don't see them saying shit, but the developers who get mistreated, treated like fucking commodities, don't get paid enough, get overworked, they're out here unironically simping for the game sales that they're not getting bonuses off of. So It just it doesn't really make sense to me, man. Like, yeah, I get wanting to defend your game or whatever, but like there was no reason to in this case, right? And even if there was, like, this just isn't the time to do it, bro. Maybe focus that time you have for Twitter clapbacks into actually releasing a good fucking Call of Duty game, okay? Maybe if you guys focused more on that, you wouldn't be in this position. So anyway, I just wanted to clear that up and make this video. So anyway, man, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, playing Lego Fortnite and signing out.